Who has never played GTA and seen the wasted effect? In this video we see how to create it in Unity. First, we need to analyze how the process works. Once defeated, there is a slow motion effect where time is slowed down. After this, the camera zooms on the player. Various post-processing effects are applied and a sound is played. In a second phase, the scene becomes black and white and the user interface appears. I download the 3D model and the animation from Mixamo. Then, in Unity, I create an animation controller in order to call the animation with a trigger from a script. And I create a very basic environment to give a background to the scene. From the package manager, I install the post-processing package. Once added the post-processing components to the main camera, I create the post-processing profile. The first effect I add is vignette. It is used to darken and/or desaturate the edges of the screen. Also, I use the depth of field effect to blur the background. To strengthen the shadow, I use ambient occlusion. It is not required, but it helps to improve the result. Thanks to the color grading effect, I add a yellow filter and I increase the sheen saturation. With a bloom effect, I improve light and bright areas. Lastly, I change the orientation of the directional light. To obtain a black and white effect, I create a custom shader. I expose a float parameter that indicates the percentage of color slurp. I remove the useless code and implement the fragments method. Starting from RGB values as input, there are 3 standard formulas to obtain a black and white effect. I use the intermediate formula. Each formula differs for the constant that you use to multiply the color's value. Once the gray color is calculated, I return the ler between this value, the black and white version of the image, and the colored image. To ler, I use the public float parameter. I need to write a script to apply the material to the camera and use it as post-process. In the onRenderImage function, I use the blit method to pass the material to the source. To achieve the zoom effect, I need a script. First, I calculate the distance between the camera and the target, adding a little offset. Also, I add a vertical offset. Through a coroutine, I move the camera between the 2 positions. To synchronize the paces, I create a general manager. The that method starts the character's animation and then the first and the second paces. Since I'm working with a downscaled time, to use my coroutine I need to write a method that implements the unscaled delta time. During the first pace, I wait 0.5 seconds and then I slow down the time, activate the post-processes and enable the zoom. In the second phase, I need a new coroutine to modify the layer parameter of the black and white material. To create the ending UI, I add a panel. I use GIMP to make a trapezoid gradient. I import the GTA font downloaded from internet. Install TextMesh Pro and create the new font version, necessary to the text material. I set the text, the color and hide the panel. Thanks to Audacity, I clean the downloaded sounds. Add an audio source to the scene and enable it in the manager script. I add some extra background objects. This is the final result. What do you think about it? Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, these really help us. See you next time, bye!